Welcome back into the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast, part number 3 with our three-hole hitter, Kelly Stewart, at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. Check her out, wagertalk.com and Barstool Sportsbook. Kelly, welcome in. How you feeling?
Hey, Drew. Crazy day. No major complaints. Headed to Waco, Texas tomorrow. So just trying to get all of the work done that takes me 3 days into, why do I do this to myself? I guess I'm just addicted to going gallivanting around the country and watching sporting events. So excited for that one. Uncle Ben's coming along. I guess we're going to go to Bob's Steakhouse in Dallas on Friday. We're going to go to George's, some sports bar in Waco on Saturday to watch the rest of the games. K-State Baylor is a evening game, 6 p.m. Central. So lots of Vivas to drink probably before the rest of those games commence. It's going to be a great time. Excited, but boy, I'm tired. It feels like week 11.
All right, so you got a big weekend coming up. We're going to get the listeners on the right side of some of these games. We got first game up, guys, 177, 178, Rutgers, Michigan State. And for this section, we're going down to the Texas A&M Auburn game. There's 4 sections this week. Kelly's the third slot here, so we're hitting every single game on the board. If you go to the Wager Talk Live odds screen, those little numbers next to the team name on the college football betting board, that is the rotation number. We're going down in numerical order here. So Rutgers, Michigan State, 177, 178, kicking us off on Saturday. 40.5 being the total, -9 in the hook. That's Sparty in East Lansing, Kelly.
Yeah, Drew, I thought somebody was going to come in on Rutgers. I had them plus 10 early in the week and said, all right, is this a team that I think can win this game outright? Because that's what I'm looking for each and every week is outright underdog winners. Now you've got Michigan State that was on my long list last week until all of those suspensions got announced, but it did not matter. Illinois got absolutely trounced by Sparty. You kind of have to wonder, what do the Spartans have to play for? They obviously cared that, hey, half of their team went out. They're 4-5 on the season. They have a shot to win a bowl game here. And that's where I looked at Rutgers, who just doesn't have a good quarterback play. And that scares me. And that's kind of how this is one of those things that is playing out. Like, let's look at some situations. Mathematically, I would love to take Rutgers. I think that's why we've seen Rutgers money come in early. I'm going to inevitably pass here with a slight nod to the red. What are they? The Knights? Which Knights are they?
The Scarlet Knights, I believe.
Scarlet Knights. I knew it was a red color. I always forget. There's just too many Knights.
Yeah, the State University of New Jersey, the Scarlet Knights there with
There you go.
Rutgers. We got Temple and Houston up next, not far from where you will be on Saturday. Any interest in Houston -20, 56.5 being the total?
Ooh, Drew, we've talked about this Houston team before, and that's just because they have underperformed so much. Daniel Holgerson now laying 20. I know the Owls are bad, just 3-6 on the season, but they have covered 6 out of 9 games. This is not a bad Temple squad. Yeah, they're bad, but are they 20 points worse than Houston? One could argue probably they are. This has just been one of those really down years for a Houston team that kind of had their high hopes up there. Now they do need one more win to become bowl eligible. I do believe they're going to get it here, but I'm not laying 20 with this team. No way, no how.
Kelly, let's talk the game of the century, the one you'll be at here. Kansas State, Baylor, Waco, Texas, -2.5. That's Baylor at home, 52.5 being the total. What are we thinking in a game? I feel like you got to bet if you're attending, right?
You got to bet if you're attending, but God, Drew, I've been trying to cash this over 6.5 wins since the freaking TCU game. I just did money shots with Megan Making Money and Rico Bosco, and I kind of went on a little tangent, and they just kind of cut the end of the show at the hard out at 2:45 Eastern, and I was like, okay, great. This K-State team is really frustrating. Defensively, they've shown some moments of greatness. Obviously, Texas was able to run all over them, and that's what scares me about Baylor. They've got a 2-headed monster in the backfield, as we saw last week. Star running back out with the flu. Didn't matter. They still ran all over Oklahoma. This is a coin flip game. I know early money came on a K-State +3, and even earlier than that if you bet some of the openers in Las Vegas. 2.5 right now. I think if you like K-State, you take the money line. I think this looks like a shootout in Waco. I could see this being like 34-31, either direction. This is one of those games where I just have to just pray to the gambling gods that I can cash the over 6.5 that I laid -185 on. Like, I don't even bet like that, Drew. Like, that's not who I am. I don't do that. And I cannot believe it. And so I would not be surprised to see K-State lose this one, go on the road, lose in Morgantown, and then have to suffer through Jalen Daniels and KU and just absolutely wait. That's the LSU quarterback. Is it Jaden Daniels? They have the same name.
Yeah.
Jaden, Jalen, same. Mm-hmm. They both are stud quarterbacks that I don't want to play against. That being said, I lean towards K-State here because I do think that this is kind of a look-ahead spot, if you will, for Baylor. No, you shouldn't be looking ahead past the number 19 team in the country, but they have TCU on deck. And Oklahoma, even though they only have 5 wins on the season, Baylor got up big for that game. Do they get up big for 3 games in a row? It remains to be seen. I lean towards the Cats here, but definitely like the over.
Okay, Big 12. I mean, schedule is really tough for a lot of these teams. You talked on it with Baylor, and I'm looking at the Waco, Texas weather report. It looks like 10 to 20 mile an hour winds.
I'm gonna
58
freeze.
degrees, sunny. So
I
it's
was
not
just
bad.
telling Uncle Ben I'm going to freeze. I'm packing a winter hat. I'm packing gloves. 50 degrees. Living in Vegas and Florida, I am not acclimated to this weather. I'm going to have to drink a lot of Viva, stay warm on Saturday.
It gets cold in Las Vegas, though, Kelly.
It does, but not in November. It gets cold in Las Vegas in January. It is cold in Vegas right now. They actually just got snow in Mount Charleston. But typically, it's that January, February, right before it gets beautiful, that you get the coldest months in Vegas. I was in Boston last weekend and brought 70-degree weather with me. I guess I'm just spoiled these days.
Good. Well, yeah, hopefully it will be all right there for you in Waco. Fun time, guys. If you're around the area, hit her up on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. Whole crew going there. Uncle Benny, CT Bets, the whole bit. We got UMass, Arkansas State up next, 3:00 here in Jonesboro, Arkansas, -17.5, 49.5 being the total. I know not really up your alley here, Kelly, but any interest in UMass, Arkansas State?
It's not, but I can tell you why it is up. It was on my radar. It's because I bet Arkansas State a couple weeks ago, thinking maybe we might see a flat spot. And guess what? They got absolutely throttled. This team's defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. I know UMass is bad, but this is asking a lot from the Red Wolves here as the basement dwellers of the Sun Belt. I do not trust this team laying this many points. Yes, UMass lost 42-10. 55-10 to Tulane and Toledo. So I understand how this team could get throttled again. I think this is a complete and utter stay away.
Rice, Western Kentucky up next. Western Kentucky -13, 60.5 the total.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago when Rice was laying like 16.5 to Charlotte, I had them on my long list. I called up Rico Bosco. I said, what do you think about Charlotte? They just fired their coach. And he goes, no way, lay it with Rice. Of course, Rice loses outright, and I'm kicking myself. That's just this Rice Owls team. I've joked about them on your show before. They're like the 12th best team behind 2 high school teams in the state of Texas. Like, this team's not good. Western Kentucky 49, 46, 42. Those are the last 3 meetings versus Rice. They've absolutely throttled this team. I expect more of the same here.
She's Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. I'm Drew Martin. We're doing every game on the board. Check it out. Wager Talk YouTube channel. Check her out on Twitter. Money Shots with Megan making money as well on the Barstool Sportsbook YouTube. Stanford, Utah up next. 10:00 Eastern, 7:00 Pacific here. Utes -24 in Salt Lake. 54 the total here, Kelly.
Yeah, this one's interesting because Stanford just got their asses beat by Utah last year, 52-7. So the situation says, let's look at some revenge. Well, I can't. Stanford has been terrible in the Pac-12. I bet them twice this season and not against Notre Dame. So I've been really frustrated with this team. I only am going to say I'm not going to bet Utah here to absolutely lay this team out. Stanford's defense is okay. Their offense has shown some glimmers of hope. I think Whittingham is absolutely going to have his team ready. But guess who they have on deck? That's right, Oregon. And I feel like Oregon came out of nowhere. I gave your boy Bo Nix a little bit of credit on the hustle last night. Drew, he has been much improved in the Pac-12, and I think he deserves a pat on the back. So I think that Utah could possibly be looking ahead here. Also, Utah failed to cover his Big Chalk versus Arizona and Colorado the last 2 years, prior to playing Oregon. So seems like maybe Whittingham doesn't get his team up for some of these lesser games.
Kelly, staying in the Conference of Champions. Actually, we're hitting the whole Saturday slate here, 5 in a row. Arizona State, Washington State. We see the Cougs -8 in Pullman, 59 the total in the Pacific Northwest, Kelly.
Yeah, I wonder what Arizona State's got left in the tank, right, Drew? This team has tried really hard all season long, and it hasn't really achieved much, right? You fire their coach. You thought that maybe we might see a little bit of wheels in motion, and it's kind of been more of the same. And it's unfortunate because I do think they have a lot of talent on their roster. That being said, they're not covering games. And if you're not covering games, I can't really trust you to win games, right? That's kind of the progression. You cover your games as a dog, and then you start to win those games outright. And I'm not seeing it from Arizona State. So I completely passed here. This is a Wazoo team that I love betting on as a dog. I am not betting on them as a favorite whatsoever. This is just not one of those situations. Also, the Sun Devils, this is their third road game in 4 weeks. So keep it like circled there. But this Wazoo defense has just been atrocious. I could see them getting torched for a couple of long passes. Maybe Badger catches a couple of those for us, and they get backdoored.
Yeah, good breakdown there, Kelly. Tough trip too to Pullman. California and Oregon State up next. Beavers -13 in the hook, just short of 2 touchdowns. Actually, -14 starting to pop up here. 49 being the total. Any interest in the Golden Bears and the Beavers?
Yeah, the Golden Bears, right? Like they're trying to do the best that they can. They got the cover last week versus USC, and Oregon State has been awesome to me over the last couple of years and against the spread. And they've been awesome this year, which is kind of weird because I just spoke about as an underdog, you got to try to cover those games and then you can start to win. And that's exactly what we've seen from Oregon State last year. That's what their job was. Underdogs. They were hitting those covers. They won a couple of those games outright. This year, now they're these like little small favorites, but I was kind of a little gun shy with them going, all right, I'm not sure that they're going to get to that level, but they have. And I've been really impressed with what I've seen. I think Cal left it all on the field last week versus USC. So I think Oregon State should be able to handle business here, Drew.
Kelly, next one up, a big one. One of the biggest of the slate. Washington and Oregon, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. We're seeing Oregon -13-point home favorites, 72.5 being the total. I like it up and over. I think both teams score a bunch, Kelly. Are you
Ooh.
liking anything in Eugene?
Yeah, I like Washington. They were this close to making my money line parlay. This close.
Okay.
I do think Oregon's going to be able to squeak it out. How much fun is this game going to be? You've got the number
Yeah.
one pass offense with Washington versus the 117th ranked pass defense. We know exactly what I just told you about Bo Nix, how he's really impressed me this year. I think we see a shootout. This is like such a buy low situation on the Huskies. I think that Oregon maybe looking ahead to Utah, as I mentioned, with Utah in the same kind of situation. But 13.5, I had to gobble up those points.
I like it, Kelly. And you bring up your money line parlay. Where can people watch that?
Yeah, it'll be out Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. I'll have it up on my Instagram, TikTok, which sounds so weird to say, and Twitter, of course.
Okay, guys, make sure to check that out. 3 games, money line parlayed. She hit 2 of them last year, free rolling.
And God, Drew, I should have hit the one week 3. It was either week 3 or week 4 when Kentucky went in to Oxford. That was the week it was going to hit. Those they don't hit late in the season, but I really do like this week's plays. We've got some primed bubble burst spots, maybe some teams and letdown spots. So I'm looking for some situations because I like the math side, but now that situation gives me just a little bit more to say, hey, maybe Team X could lose the game outright.
At Kelly in Vegas on Twitter and Instagram, TikTok as well, guys. Arizona, UCLA up next. Nightcap, one of the last games on the card. The next 2, actually, Arizona, UCLA. We're seeing the Bruins -20, -19.5, depending where you're shopping. 77 being the total in the Rose Bowl.
God, I would love to lay it here with UCLA. Look at this, how terrible this run defense is for Arizona. But Charbonnet is kind of banged up, and that concerns me. They also have USC on deck, so something to keep in mind there. Chip Kelly should be able to just obliterate this Arizona team. We'll see if he does. This team has been really great at home, and hopefully they just handle business. But I am concerned, so keep an eye on the injuries. But yeah, this offense, If I'm Chip Kelly, run, put it down their throat.
Yeah, and UCLA's offensive line is pretty good. I think they'll be able to push them
absolutely.
around as well. Heading to the Mountain West up next, just a couple games left here, guys. San Jose State and San Diego State. We're seeing a competitively priced game here with the Spartans minus 2.5-point road favorites, 40.5 being the total in San Diego, that new stadium they have there.
Yeah, this is interesting. I bet against San Diego State last week. I had UNLV, and UNLV, by all means, probably should have won that game. But they just got the cover for me. And I lean towards San Jose State here just because I don't think San Diego State is as good as maybe advertised. Once again, betting against Brady Hoke. Anytime I can do it, I'm going to do it, especially laying points on the road. I made this game a pick 'em, so lean towards San Jose State here.
199-200, the rotation number. Next game up. 2 games left in part number 3. We'll bring in Robbie Vino for part number 4 to finish off every game on the board. Arguably the biggest game on the slate here, Kelly. Austin, Texas. Texas Christian, TCU, going on the road, putting their 9-0 record, 8-1 against the spread on the line, and they're catching 7. Texas is -7, 65 being the total. The number almost pops out at you, Kelly. What are you doing here?
Yeah, it has to. I mean, I got a little asterisk here, right? If TCU can beat Texas and K-State can beat Baylor, there is some scenarios where K-State can get into the Big 12 championship game here. TCU controls their own destiny. 7-point underdogs. I was floored. Texas looked good last week against Kansas State until they decided to stop running the ball. You know, TCU is, we've seen them put up fights against Kansas State. We've seen them put up fights against Oklahoma State when they were down double digits. I have nothing bad to say about this team. Are they really lucky? Absolutely. Do they get some calls and some injury scenarios go their way? 100%. But Sonny Dykes has done a really good job with this team. I'm not touching this game because I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas beat them 31-10. But TCU, if they've been playing like they've been playing over the last few weeks, Sonny Dykes keeps his foot on the pedal like he did in Morgantown. I think this is too many points. And like I said, TCU controls their own destiny. I don't even think with the win here, Texas can get into the Big 12 championship game. I'd have to double check that. But I don't know what else Texas really has left to play for. Plus, you've got Sarkisian, as I mentioned, as a favorite. He's horrendous. Texas, when you want to bet Texas is when you're catching points, Drew, and that's not very often.
Okay. I like the breakdown there, Kelly. And being in the Big 12 there, are you rooting for TCU to run the table and punch a ticket into the playoff or not?
At this
really?
point, I have no other option, Drew. It depends on who they're going to play in the Big 12 championship game. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this team lose one of their last couple games. They have Baylor next week, and maybe they're looking ahead there. I doubt it. Nobody looks past Texas, right? That's not how the Big 12 works. And Sonny Dykes, Scott, you know he's got to hate Texas. All those years at SMU. I'm hoping that TCU is able to do that. Now, of course, if they're playing K-State in the Big 12 championship game, my attitude may change. But yeah, it'd be nice to get some new blood in there. The only problem is to Tennessee, to LSU, to any of the other teams in the top 4, they're going to be at least touchdown underdogs, if not double-digit underdogs. And the last thing I need to do is see another Big 12 team like Oklahoma's done to us for years just get absolutely embarrassed in the college football playoff.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. You don't want to get embarrassed, but
I'd rather just not get in. I'd rather them be like, sorry, you guys didn't get in. We're going to let in 2 SEC teams and they get a knock and drag it out. Because the Oklahoma, there was like a 5-year stretch there where I'm like, can we just stop with this? Like, we just look so overmatched, and it does the rest of the conference such a disservice.
Yeah, but at times they've stood up. I mean, that one Oklahoma versus Georgia game, didn't it go to overtime in the Rose Bowl?
I don't really recall. I just remember like the year Baylor won, and then they played UCF in the bowl game, and they got throttled as double-digit favorites. And then it's just never like a good thing. Like if these teams are like this close to getting in and then don't, they get their asses kicked in the bowl games. If they do get in, then they get their asses kicked by an SEC member. It's just not been a fun one. So yeah, sure. I'd love to see TCU get in if they're going to be competitive and not get out coached or out athlete.
Well said, Kelly. Last game on the card here, Texas A&M in Auburn. We get 48 being the total. Night game in Jordan-Hare, 7:30 Eastern, -1.5. That's the Auburn War Eagles as the slight home favorites here, Kelly.
Oh boy. I was with a bunch of guys that laid it with A&M last Saturday, and I said, I don't know. A lot of those guys are sick. They said, we don't care. I said, I don't know. I laid it last week with Jimbo -2.5, and it didn't go so well. We don't care. Florida went in and handled business. There's a lot of problems with the Aggies right now. I think your Auburn Tigers have an opportunity to capitalize, get a signature win, if you will, to somehow make their season a little less crappy. Uh, they've been competitive against a couple other teams here, Drew. Whether that was LSU, but God, the Aggies, man, oh, come on. I don't know. Can they run the ball? Mississippi State just looked so flat. We'll see. I think Auburn's the right side here. I will not be getting involved.
I like Auburn as well. Carnell Williams, the new coach, they played well for him last week. Could see Auburn taking this one. So, guys, Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Check her out. She's got her money line parlay coming out tomorrow. Always a fun watch. Check her out. Money Shots on the Barstool Sportsbook YouTube, and bet on it on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, as well as the Hustle. Kelly, any final thoughts here for the show before we shut it down? And do you have a most confident play of the ones we talked about?
Ooh, none of the ones we talked about. I gave out a couple of my moneyline parlay legs
Okay.
On one on Wager Talk today, one on Bet on It, and one on the Hustle. As far as these go, I will give you my most confident will be Washington because it's the only one that I played. I took 13.5 with the Huskies, and yeah, I like them. Are they worth the money line sprinkle? Am I going to be mad at myself if I don't? It's up for debate.
All right. Washington Huskies going up against the Ducks and Bo Nix. Good stuff, Kelly. As always, hey, you're going to have a fun weekend here. Enjoy Waco, Texas.
My liver is going to hate me come Sunday. Go Cats.
All right, Kelly. Always good. Have fun this weekend. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be right back with Robbie Vino.